So I'm in the middle of a marker light upgrade project. This was the original marker light, and it extended out to about right there and right there. 3-inch spacing between the mounting holes, that's pretty common. But the issue with these is that you don't have very good visibility of the side of your rig when you're towing. Meaning when I look in the mirrors of my truck, I can't see where the side of the rig is if I'm driving after dark. That's normally not an issue on highways and whatnot, but if you were on some backcountry roads or whatnot, you might want to be able to see exactly where the side of your rig is, especially the tail end. So this light solves that problem. There's 14 LEDs in there. It's kind of hard to see them, but we have 3 facing forward, 3 facing backwards. There's 2 down the middle, and then there's 3 right here and 3 right there. So this is also 3-inch space mounting holes, so it lines right up. The only thing I had to do is clean off some of the sealant because the old light extended right to there. So I used some bug and tar remover, let that sit for half an hour or so, came by with a little rag, kind of scrubbed on it a little bit and peeled it back some of it with my finger up here. You just don't want to cut yourself on that sharp metal. I don't really care that this still has sealant on it because that's right where the top of the new light's going to sit. Now the only thing that you do have to do when installing these lights is add an auxiliary reflector either above or below the light to meet FMVSS 108 standards, which is the regulation that dictates how a rig has to be lit up and visible and reflectivity and whatnot. So that's Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 108. And same thing in Canada, it's Canadian Motor Vehicle Safety Standard number 108. So you can see that this original light does have a reflector in it. So I'm going to add a small reflector up here. It's going to be about that big. It's a rectangular shaped reflector. So I can use the same mounting screws, and I'll put some kind of sealant around here just so this makes a nice tight fit. So right now it kind of rocks back and forth on the protrusions from where the original screws were installed. I cut off the original butt splice crimp connectors. They're bullet splice style, and put on some heat shrink butt splices. So I'll heat those up with my heat gun, and these are actually a heat shrink sealing, meaning there's some glue inside, and when you shrink this down, that glue gets hot and kind of totally vulcanizes and seals everything around the wires. If you watch this while you're heat shrinking it, you can see that glue inside start to seal up and melt. And you don't want to hold these two right next to each other as you're heating it up, otherwise they will stick to each other. So I'm going to let those cool for a while. But if we move in here and get a close-up on that white wire, we can see the glue right here. And the material that I'm going to use here is kind of a clay-based RV sealant putty. I don't need to use butyl tape on this. It doesn't require a weatherproof seal. I split it down the middle and we'll just work our way around here. The original lights, they were also using that clay-based putty behind the lights. So I use the same thing. I found some shorter screws that are slightly bigger in diameter, so they'll grip this aluminum better. They're about half as long as the original screws. And that's the light when it's illuminated. I'm kind of standing in front of the sun to block the sun from washing out the light, and you can kind of see how nice it looks. The sun's kind of gone down behind the trees over there, so we can kind of get a good perspective of how bright these lights are. This is why I like them, is because of those 3 little LEDs that point forward and backwards. You have really good visibility down the side of the rig. If you're driving after dark, you can see exactly where the side of the rig is. If you're going around through an RV park or campground or trying to back into a campsite. And there's the amber up front. Here's the red, and on the back here on the red, I put the red reflector up above the light. Another place you could put it is up here on the body, just above the aluminum. Super good visibility after dark. And then of course, if you're driving in inclement weather, a vehicle coming up alongside of you would be blind if they couldn't see those. And for the reflector up front, I might put it right here, or maybe right down here. I haven't decided yet. And tomorrow I'll come back around and trim that excess putty off the top of the light, swing around here and look at the red one. That one almost disappears behind the slide out. Here's a nice close-up view of these lights. We have 2 lights, or LEDs in the middle, 3 right here, 3 right here. And if we rotate that around, we can see 3 more. They're right there. And it's a little easier to see them all when we flip it and look at the top or the bottom. So 2 in the middle, 3 here, 3 there, and then 3 here and 3 here. It's a totally sealed design, so there's no chance of moisture getting inside and wrecking the electronics or leaking to the inside of the RV if you happen to use these on the sidewall of your RV. White wire is ground, and then black wire is our positive connection. But overall, they're a really nice light. I've used these on, I think, 4 different RVs now. And I'll have a link in the description below as to where I bought these lights. Here's one of the red lights, and I've applied power to it so we can get a really good visual of where all of the LEDs are at, and especially how bright those ones are on the side.